episode 10 of Shack Out Back. Our podcast is a decade of episodes old.
Episode 10, Star Trek shenanigans and old-timey shows.
Old-timey.
I feel like we've used the word shenanigans, though. Maybe we
I don't think we have. We can bring in shenanigans. I don't think we've talked about syndicated... People don't talk about syndicated television a lot anymore.
People don't talk about Star Trek syndication anymore. They need to get on it. Release more shows.
I was craving. That's what I was craving when I started watching Star Trek again this year. I was craving like shows that don't follow like a fucking... Like, you don't have to watch every fucking episode to know what's going on in the show.
Yeah, I didn't know that was with our topic this week. I thought you kind of had to watch every single one, and then when I looked up online, because you told me just skip the entire first season, I was like, Jim, that's like 25 episodes. Nothing happens, and stuff happens, but it doesn't fucking matter. But we'll get into that.
Data bangs that lady, lady dies, and then it's season 2. But yeah, we can get into that later. Let's start out with every episode. We start out with the biweekly breakdown. And you know what, Dan? You know what? I did not a lot the last couple of weeks. Me and you played a fuckload of Deep Rock. Like, yes. I actually hurt my wrist playing too much Deep Rock the other day.
You were saying that we need to find a new game. I hurt my wrist.
Well, we don't need to find a new game, but like, I definitely like Monday. I think I played for 3.5 hours, and
yeah, that's a long time.
And Wednesday, I think I played for like 4 hours. Not straight, because I took breaks, but I played for a while. And we've been leveling up and doing dailies with that. It's been really fun. Other than that, I'm still playing Demon's Souls. And you know what's really nice is that there's a ton of new guides up for Demon's Souls because the remake came out. And I can use them for the other games.
Right?
They're so fucking similar, yeah.
That's funny.
Other than that, I tried playing some Vita stuff, but I didn't really get into it. And I've listened to a lot of music. Like I've been tired the last couple weeks, and I've just been spending a lot of time just chilling and listening to music. Stuff like, let me bring my Spotify up, but like
Weezer.
I'm getting to. I fucking hate Weezer, bro. Don't even do that.
So sad.
I've listened to a lot of Canadian stuff, like Bahamas. Just a guy called Bahamas. He makes good music, and July Talk and a few others. Just a lot of like chill stuff and some stuff from high school too. But other than that, not too much. What about you, Dan? What have you been up to?
Last 2 weeks, let's see. Me and you finally met up again. COVID was a little bit lesser. We finally saw each other. One person, don't get angry.
Yeah.
After
we coughed in each other's mouths. Oh, I tried your VR. It was very fun.
Yeah, you tried the VR. Me and my girlfriend and you played Great Western Trail. That was a fantastic time. Very, very good time.
She's still upset with the low score she got compared to me, who played for the first time.
If we mention it, she doesn't love it. This last couple weeks, I have watched quite a bit of Star Trek. I've watched quite a bit of anime because it was my reading week, so I didn't have too much schoolwork that I really needed to do or wanted to do.
Awesome.
Other than that, what else have I been doing? I feel like I was going to say something. Oh, I just finished a Gundam model today that I think I put 6+ hours into.
You finished your little leg man? I only saw his legs. You'll have to send me the complete
my little guy. Yeah, I'm going to take some nice pictures tomorrow and maybe post it around. Other than that, I really liked
the podcast we did with Patrick last time. It was very fun.
Yeah, I liked it a lot too. I imagine Patrick had fun.
I think he didn't talk a lot. Listening back to it a couple times, he didn't talk a lot, but he had like lots of good topics and lots of stuff we spanned from. So I'd be glad to have him back. It was really fun.
Yeah, but currently I'm sitting here with a glass of beer, ready to record. Yeah, I played the Outriders demo. I've been playing pretty good. Me and you were vaguely talking about it.
What do you think about the Outriders demo, Dan? Because you've told me about 3 times today, and I've enjoyed it every time. It's really funny.
I think way too many cutscenes, way goddamn too many cutscenes, and I was looking up why they had to do that. Like, there is a cutscene between a broken bridge point where you can see, like, it's like a little skip over a broken bridge. You have to go up and press X, and it triggers a cutscene for you to jump over the bridge, and then the cutscene's done when you land on the other side. There's cutscenes to open doors. There's cutscenes to talk to any story people. There's a cutscene like that in Knack. Yeah, like there's cutscenes everywhere, and it's apparently because it's meant to be played co-op, so that's like a syncing method. Like, yeah, it's kind of stupid because they were like,
is it a break for someone else to like come in, or is it like
it's like this is now both players start in the same exact area and they know what
okay.
happens when they move on, because they did apparently have it when it just went to black and it would start in the new area, but apparently in playtesting people were getting confused about where they were, but in my opinion you probably had morons playtesting your game if they couldn't understand. I got moved because there's a cutscene that just happened.
I don't
so
know.
That's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of people they get to play test games. Like,
I mean, neither.
Like, I wouldn't know like how they would choose them. Would it be a spectrum from like people who play games a lot to people who don't play games, or like in between and stuff like that? That's how I would do it. But I bet it's just like fucking.
I bet
Philistines.
it's just random people they pick off the street and give them $20 and a hotbed.
They get all the moms from that Dead Space 2 mom ad to play test the game.
Yeah, it's a good game. I like it. It makes you feel really cool. The powers are really cool. The presentation's nice. It seemed to be running fine. My god, they need more settings. And apparently, again, it's just a demo, so they said there's going to be a really buffed out settings menu in the real game. But still worrying when, like, there's nothing really there yet. Like, you can't turn off motion blur, and motion blur is fucking egregious in that game.
I hate
like,
motion blur.
Every time you run, it's horrible.
Yeah, I can't stand that shit. As you said before we started recording, it's a good game. We'll pick up in 3 years for $17.
Yeah, we'll get it in 3 years when both DLCs are out and Outriders Enhanced Remastered Edition is out, and you can get it and play with people. And I'll have a fantastic time, but I'm not paying $80 for that. No way in hell am I paying $80 for that. Should be half price. Also, I never told you this part, you had to make a Square Enix Link account to play the demo. And I apparently had an account, so I tried to reset the password. It sent me a password reset, and then it said log in with this thing to reset your password. And I said, I've never fucking had this in my life. I've never played Final Fantasy 13, and then it said I already did, so I tried to reset that and it didn't let me, so I just made a burner account.
Your pod person signed in for you.
Yeah, so good game. I wouldn't pay $80 for it. I can definitely see some people that will, such as your friend we talked about. He enjoyed it a lot, which is good.
I mean, I paid $80 to get into the fucking alpha for Baldur's Gate 3, so there's got to be someone out there who wants to spend that much money on that game.
Other than that, yeah, the only other game that I really started was I bought the Outer Worlds. I wanted to say Wilds because there's so many things with Outer lately in the title. Outer Worlds Season Pass, because I had a bit left on my Steam wallet, so it only cost me like $10 for it. And I'm going through the Peril on Gorgon right now, and then...
How are you digging it?
Yeah, do they have a name for the second one? I don't know what it is, but the second one's coming out soon.
They might. I think it's coming out in like Q2, like in April. Yeah. I guess it's March. Maybe it's later on. I don't know.
I'm really excited though.
How are you enjoying Gorgon?
Really, really good.
It was really fun.
I really like the setting, and I really like the story, and I really like that. That's Obsidian Entertainment, right?
Yeah.
I really like that they respect your knowledge, because the only question I had during that game that I actually thought of was, where are all the random marauders coming from? Like, why are there so many random marauders? Mm-hmm. And it seems like they're talking about it. Like, the whole point is that the marauders started on Gorgon. And when they said that, I was like, wow, that makes sense. Like,
they totally stole that idea from Firefly, but it's
did they?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens in Firefly.
Really?
Like, drugs or something make like a whole colonist evil, and they're the raiders in space or whatever. But it's still a good idea, and it explains a lot of the raiders and stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense. Why? Because I was always like, why are there random? Like, I'm fine to shoot and kill them, but why are there random raiders at every colony? But yeah, I really like the world. Really like. I don't think there's like new enemies. They're like reskins of enemies as far as I've seen.
I think there might be one or two. I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't remember.
But still, it's just more of the Outer Worlds, and I'm having a ton of fun with it.
It's good content.
Yeah, really good content. And then I'm going to do it a second time when I play the other DLC with a melee-focused character. But yeah, really, really good time. Really, really good game.
Okay, so we want to get into our main topic now, Daniel.
Yeah, lead the way, because Cassie kept asking me this week. She said, what are you guys going to talk about that's Star Trek related for 45 minutes? And I said, I don't know, probably something. So I took a few notes. I looked at the original episodes.
How far did you get? Because you found like a episode
I got a
guide
little
or
list,
something
yeah,
online.
a little list that was like, here's what to skip, here's what to watch. So,
Which was weird because we're gonna do spoilers about this like 35-year-old fucking show, but it didn't have that episode on the first season where that like the main cast character fucking gets killed.
no, so it must not have been fucking important because I didn't even realize she was gone.
You were watching season 2, yeah, and you were like, Jim, where's this girl? I'm like, you mean the doctor? He's like, oh, I guess she's gone too. No, I mean the blonde girl. I'm like, no, she's dead, man.
She's gone too. So I watched, obviously the first episode, Encounter at Farpoint Station, where it's like the first 2 episodes is like an hour and a half long.
It's not good, yeah.
It wasn't good, but it introduced, what's his name? Q? That's right?
Yes, Q.
Yeah, introduced Q. And then I watched Where No One Has Gone Before. I believe that was where they jumped really far into the future by the one alien race dude that could control trajectory
Space?
or something.
Yeah, or something.
He could control some
Space-time.
abstract, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Hide
good
and Q,
episode.
Data Lore. I skipped the holodeck ones. I really want to watch Skins of Evil or Skin of Evil, whatever it's called. It's
What's
where they
that
have
one?
the evil puddle. Because
That's
it's
the one where she
supposed to be
dies, bro.
horrendous. It's
Yeah, that's the one where
supposed to
she
be
dies,
fucking
bro.
horrible, but I want to watch it.
Like, it's the problem with the first season of The Next Generation, which I got you to watch whatever you wanted of The Next Generation in preparation for this, is that it is way too similar to the first Star Trek series, and it's like in the 80s, and you know that these characters do different things because you are aware of pop culture, so it's just like a weird, strange fucking thing to watch, and it's not written very well, and some of the ideas aren't great. Like, there's this episode in the first season, I don't know if you watched it, where like they encounter this quote unquote more primitive race, and it's a bunch of like black people living on this planet who try to steal the blonde girl as the main guy tries to steal her as his wife.
And did Picard say, Riker, this race has statistically higher crime statistics than us, only accounting for 50% of the habitation on this planet. He said, you can't speak of that.
It's a fucking it's a lot of the first season seems very tone deaf, and like this show, how much? I mean, this show
I watched
kind of
about a dozen and a half episodes, so I watched maybe about 15 episodes.
This show really ebbs and flows in its quality. I'll say that like in the middle, like season 3, 4, and 5, like that's the best stuff, and then around that, like the first 2 seasons, they really didn't know what they were doing yet, and the last few seasons, people were just kind of phoning it in, I think.
Like, this was what, 15 years, 20 years after the original series? 15 years? Or was it short?
Well, the original series, I don't know if it was the late 60s, early 70s or something, but it was like 20 years after. The original series was like, remember like My Name is Earl?
Yes,
and,
God,
like,
yes.
Family Guy and shit. So the original series was a show that got more popular in syndication than it did when it was on the air.
Really?
Like, more people watched it in reruns. Like, the kids who loved watching Star Trek grew up in like the 80s and the 70s. That's who they never stopped talking about Star Trek, because it was on TV, because it was cheap for channels to license and just play in the middle of the day.
Yeah, it makes sense. My dad would, like my dad is a huge Star Trek fan, like fucking massive amounts of figures around the house, and 50 different Enterprise vessels, and 1,000 different Romulan vessels.
Yeah,
and
I've
look
been
at
to your
this.
house.
This one's upside down. Look at this. This one lights blink. You can see Spock in the captain's den. A fucking million different things. But so the first thing that stuck out to me, because this was the series right after the original one, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like a reboot, like before soft reboots were popular.
Yeah.
This was the soft reboot of Star Trek.
So the first couple things that really stuck out to me was all the colors of the uniform. Everyone just wear, like, the captains wear red now. To my knowledge, red was always, bro, if you wear red, you're dying.
You did.
Yeah, so they kind of changed up that, and it makes sense, because now it seems like all the colors actually mean certain things.
Yeah.
If you're wearing blue, you're a medical officer. Yellow, you're like a data dude.
Technician or something.
Yeah, technician.
Yeah.
Red, you're like a captain or high-ranking officer.
Or
and
a
the
pilot,
other one is red, yellow, blue, green. There's no green. It's
No,
a
there's
security
just 3, I
officer.
think.
Yellow. Security officer
Yeah.
yellow now. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Second thing, I don't know if it ever happened in the original series. I don't ever remember it happening. But in the very first episode where they're like, we're going to Battle Bridge, and all these other people came in and sat down in the seats, and the like top of the Enterprise ejected, and
Yeah.
like, went on ahead. Does that keep happening?
They eject the Enterprise disc.
Yes, yeah, with all the people on it, and they
have
like,
the
"We'll meet you
saucer
there."
and they have the battle bottom
The
or
battle
whatever.
bridge, yeah.
I think that
that's
happens
weird.
like twice or 3 times through the whole series because it's fucking dumb.
It's weird, and I was like, oh, it's two space things coming together like that? But then there are episodes when I've seen them fight Romulans, and I'm like, well, they're not ejecting the battle bridge anymore, so it must not happen much.
I think the way it was devised was like, if you know that you're fucked, you can like put everyone in one half of the ship and like shoot it somewhere else, and the other half of the ship can be like a diversion or something.
It makes sense, but to me, it stuck out. The first thing I thought of, I was like, they're really trying to differentiate and show this is really different, so they needed to do something wild with the Enterprise.
We're a new show, we got a new Enterprise, I can split in half.
Shoot the thing now, get everyone in it.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know it was Will Wheaton. Was what's Wesley? Wesley's his
Wesley
name?
Crusher.
Yeah, I didn't know that was Will Wheaton. So that's a little bit interesting. Didn't he turn into kind of a prick, or is he a nice guy?
I think he was a prick his entire life, but you know him from like Geek and Sundry and stuff like that, right? Like more internet stuff nowadays.
Yeah, I know him from The Big Bang Theory. He was in that episode.
Yes, The Big Bang Theory, everyone's favorite. A show that's held up to the test of time.
It has. Anything else that I immediately thought of? Like, so I like anything with dumb, stupid aliens. So I like all the episodes when it's just, this is the Florgog, and it's just stupidity. I don't care if it's a dumb premise, as long as there's a cool alien I can look at.
A lot of, I think that there's an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where they encounter this like progenitor race who say that they like started all the races on other planets by like seeding life there or some shit. And I'm like, oh great, you covered your bases for everyone just put some shit on their nose and be a new race of people.
I thought Data was fantastic. Any episode that focused on Data or had any Data shit, I don't know who plays him, but like,
Brent Spiner, I think his name is. He's a very good character actor. I like Data episodes a lot.
It was so good.
I'm a sucker for a fish out of water story, but like there's episodes where Data like goes on dates with a girl and is Sherlock Holmes figuring shit out and has a daughter
that episode.
and fights with his brother and finds his father, and it's always so good. Contrastingly, or to contrast that, all the episodes that focus, I don't know if you watched any of these, the episodes that focus on Diana as a character fucking suck ass.
Diana's the one that says, I can feel his worry.
His emotions.
That girl.
Yeah, like, she's a character that works well with other characters on paper because she's kind of a foil to, like, Worf and the Captain. Cause
she's the Patrick Star of the group. She needs other characters to bounce off of.
So any episodes that really focus on her are boring. I think that they made up for that with other episodes because there are episodes in Next Generation, which is some of my favorites too, where Gene Roddenberry, who's the guy who made Star Trek, his wife comes in and plays Diana's mother and is such like a not Star Trek character. She's just like, my daughter needs a husband, and just runs around the ship and causes fucking trouble. It's very fun.
What was the other thing that I wanted to bring up? The characters leaving or dying between seasons 1 and 2. So you mentioned, I don't know her name.
So the
security officer,
security officer lady, whose name escapes me right now. She gets killed by that black puddle of goo in that episode where they're like, "Don't watch it, it's bad." It is so bad, funny. But you should have watched it because it's really funny.
I'll watch it.
She was basically like Tasha Yar. That's the character's name, but the actress was like. I remember reading, the actress was like, I don't want to be on this show. It's cringe. And you need to get me off this show. Please kill me.
She just laughed. But no, the other thing okay, go.
And then she lost millions and millions of dollars in like merchandising and appearances and all this shit. And she comes back through the show as like different characters and stuff like that.
Really?
But she kind of like, she plays like, there's an alternate episode where like they go into this universe where they're at war or something and she's still there. She didn't get killed. And she plays her daughter. She plays her daughter, who's like a Romulan fucking spy or some shit. But that's
really
the other
awkward.
one you wanted to talk about.
Okay, yeah, the other
doctor,
one,
right?
the doctor. Isn't that Wesley's mom?
Yeah, she doesn't die. She just
she just dips.
She just dips for season 2. It was really fucked because like this is what happens in TV shows is that they back in the day anyway they just didn't call the actress back. And then she didn't come, and they said that in the show that she was like off doing something or some shit, and they replaced her with like another character who did not. I liked her character, and I liked some of the episodes she was in, but she did not feel like part of the crew. Like she
felt
gel
very
with
antagonistic towards a lot of the people, and it's like, you're the doctor. Also, she was weirdly almost xenophobically racist. She refers to Data a bunch of times as an it and a thing, and it's like, I know androids really aren't common in that universe, but like, still.
It was a weird choice because they knew they fucked up, and then they just brought Wesley's mom back for every other season, Beverly.
Sweet. Wesley's got a mom now. That's good.
Wesley's got a mom again.
I just wanted to say, why is the Enterprise's female dress code a really tight-fitting miniskirt or a low-topped sweater?
So they talk about that too in a later season.
Is that low gravity or something, or is it for agility?
You got to keep your back up straight, so you got to rein your boobies in.
Like, what's up with that?
I feel like a lot of that stuff was happening earlier on in the seasons where, like, I remember there's this episode where Beverly and Diana just start doing fucking aerobics in an episode to start with.
Space aerobics.
And I'm like, I'm sure this was very central to the fucking plot, like stretches and gymnastics and shit.
Jesus.
And the writing and character dressing costumes and stuff got a lot less thirsty as time went on,
because one of the cool things I remember about the original Star Trek was it had the first interracial kiss on air, correct?
Yes,
very
Captain
very
Kirk
cool.
And this had, I don't know, the first time a man kissed a transgender person.
Did it? When? Who's transgender?
There's an episode, I'm not a big Star Trek nerd, but I just watched this whole show over the last month. But there's this episode where Riker fell in love with this alien who didn't have a gender, but wanted to be female. Huh. And he's, like, trying to fight her, like, race and their pre-existing, like, notions about gender and try to win her heart or something.
That's weirdly progressive, I guess.
Weirdly woke, I think.
That's good.
I think it ends in a weird way where she's like, I didn't want to be a girl after all.
she says, I guess this is an unholy abomination. And she says, finally, I'm normal. And the episode so, the one thing that I wanted to say too, I wanted to say every episode feels, and maybe it is because it's a non-sequential show, it just ends. So many of the episodes just
Did you watch that animation I sent you, that Red Letter Media fan
No,
animation?
I didn't yet. I kept looking at that, but I never watched it.
You should watch it, because they were talking about, because Red Letter Media, like Mike and Rich Evans, they did like a bunch of videos about their favorite Next Generation episodes or whatever. And they're talking about this episode where they find this like 10,000-year-old spaceship, and then they get infected with something. Something goes wrong with the Enterprise, and at the end, Patrick Stewart's like, "Okay, number one, let's finish this up." And he's like, "Okay, sir," and he blows up the ship. So Mike and Rich Evans were like, they should just put him in the brig. Like, that's not what Picard wanted, or a joke like that. But it was like the episode was 44 minutes in. They were like, "Oh, gotta wrap it up. Blow up
the ship." The one time where I started to notice it was the Data episode, Data Lore episode, when they met Data's brother Lore. That was like, very cool concept. Data was the second android created after Lore had too many human subjects to recognize. So he essentially he had a hive mind connection with a crystal alien presence, and he sacrificed the planet's inhabitants to the crystal lore mind, or whatever the fuck it was. Very weird, cool premise, very creepy. I'm good for that. And then, like, 43 minutes in, they're fighting Lore. Wesley and Data are fighting Lore, and Wesley just ejects him, and then everyone runs in and goes, "Data, are you okay? Get rid of that tick." And the credits roll up. And I was like, where did he eject him to? What's happening? No one's even asked.
They definitely do bring that up again later, but yeah,
I looked it up. Yeah, I want to watch those episodes too, because I liked the Lore character,
and the crystal thing comes back.
Very cool. I like that.
Yeah, a lot of these, like, there's a difference between like a show where you have to watch sequentially, like Breaking Bad. Like, if you miss a lesson. If you miss an episode of Breaking Bad, the next one's not going to make any fucking sense. But if you watch Star Trek all the way through, you can pick up on certain things like, yes, this flute Picard got from being beamed with 50 years of memory and living time on another planet, or like a few certain things like that, like lore and different things. But it's not concepts that are like very hard to grasp.
I'll tune into one episode. Riker has no legs now. He has big robotic treads on that he treads around the ship on.
He's Spider Maul with Star Trek form.
Yeah, there's a couple things that I was like, I think I missed something, but I can piece it together. Like the Data having sex with Tasha Yar, I was like, I missed that, but I can piece it together.
Well, yeah, and if lore comes back, right, and you miss that episode, you can kind of grasp within 10 seconds.
You can be like, he's his brother, he's a weirdo.
Evil brother. Yeah. And I miss shows like that are actually good.
Yeah, there aren't really many non-sequential, especially adult shows, because even kids' shows now, like, even shows aimed at children are pretty, well, not anymore. I was going to say they used to, like, Ben 10 and shit like that. Like, even Ben 10 had a main antagonist that would come up multiple times, and there was technically an overarching story, but...
It was a Monster of the Week, too.
Yeah, it was a Monster of the Week thing, but, like, lots of kids' shows now you really couldn't do that to, I don't believe. Like, even Gravity Falls and shit, like...
And really, this is just me, because I like a lot of television shows, but I've talked before that, like, when I start a TV show, I don't feel like I have the time to invest in them, because they are so fucking long and require so much attention.
Yeah, I can feel that.
And I'm really sick of just having a show, and I'm sure there are some, but just having a good-ass quality adult show that you can just watch. Like, I can see an episode of, I'm like, oh, that's a really cool fucking concept. I really like that. Let me start from the beginning, or let me skip around and see what episodes people like and shit like that, right?
Oh, I'm over here dying for my beer. I'm burping.
He's burping. He's burping beer. What beer are you having? We're having a beer break. What beer are you having, Dan?
I'm drinking Jam Up the Mash. Yeah, it's a sour. Oh, yes. Jam Up the Mash is pretty quality. Yeah, Jam Up the Mash is good. It's cheap. I think it's only like $3 or something like that. And I'm using my new beer mug that I got. I like it because a full can pours right into it. So it's like a standard, whatever size beer cans are, pours right into it, and it fills
400
right
mils.
To the top. Yeah. So it feels good.
My beer recommendation of the week would have to be Guinness. I love Guinness.
I tried a Guinness once. Did I tell you that? I bought a Guinness for my class a couple months ago.
Did you? Did you like it?
I finished it, I think. I liked the ping pong ball in it. That was good.
Okay, back to Star Trek. So, anything else sticking out to you with this whole show? What are your favorite parts of it, Dan? Besides the few things you've discussed already.
I like the dude in the transporter room. I don't know his name, but he seems like a guy you'd have a drink with and fuck around with and talk about women
Chief
with.
O'Brien.
Is that what his name is? Yeah.
He's a main character in the next Star Wars show, which is Deep Space Nine. Have you ever watched that one?
I don't. No, definitely not. Like, how many Star Trek series are there? I know there's a bunch more that just got announced and all this shit. New Discoveries, Picard, Under Decks, or whatever.
Like the original series, I'd say there are 5. There's TOS, which is the original series. There's The Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, which is my favorite, but it's the worst one. It's probably the worst one.
It's the worst one. My favorite worst one.
And Enterprise, which is arguably the worst one too.
I'm just looking at them right now. I've never heard of Enterprise. Voyager, I probably have if you really asked me to, but I've never heard of Enterprise. Discovery, that's I'm pretty sure the new one. And then isn't there an animated one now?
I don't know, but I've talked to you about. I guess I can talk about it a little bit on this podcast right now. It's my spicy new Star Trek takes, where I just don't think you should even bother. They are just horrible, awful television programs that no one should bother with.
It feels Discovery like it's just one of those things that's like, and it's hard. I think Star Trek is in this, or Star Wars is in this vein too. It's just like it's past its time. You're trying to make shows for an audience that has better shows now.
You know why you feel like that, right? It's because they're controlled by the same fucking people.
Is it?
Yeah, it's J.J. Abrams did the new Star Trek movies, which the first one's okay, the second one's fucking garbage, and the third one's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't watch the second one. I watched the first one, I didn't watch the second one, and I didn't watch the third one.
The third one's pretty good, because it had the least to do with J.J. Abrams. And his buddy, Alex Kurtzman, who is the worst hack ever to be put in front of a fucking, like, director's chair, is making Discovery and Picard. Discovery's very, very bad, right? But Picard makes me, like, feel bad because it's... What's his name? The guy who plays Picard.
The guy
What's
that
that
plays
actor's name?
Magneto? No, not
Yeah.
Magneto.
The other guy. The Professor X, Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, yeah.
It is just like a vanity project for him because he wrote. I think he helped write a lot of it, and it's horrible fucking trash. It's very, very bad, and undoes a lot of the good feelings I have about Star Trek. My favorite thing about Star Trek is that the whole series is basically about like the characters trying to be true to themselves and develop themselves and be put up against like these logic puzzles, basically, which take the form of a situation. Like you're stuck in a time warp or something. You need to get out of it. You need to work together, or you encounter a new idea or a new race that kind of buffles against like what you believe. And it's about exploring yourself and staying true to that and trying to break through that. New Star Trek is about blowing shit up and saying the fuck word, which is not any sort of thing to base a television program on.
Spock, say fuck.
Save. Fuck the universe. Fucking jeez, come on and save it and cut that guy's head off and blow everything up.
What was I going to say? I didn't realize, I'm just kind of looking at all the Wikipedia articles for Discovery and Picard. I didn't realize that Picard was such a big, like, is he the captain for Voyager and Deep Space Nine and everything?
No, he's not in those shows.
Why does he seem like such a massively huge part, like, he was big enough to get his own show?
Because Patrick Stewart has a huge ego, and everyone, like, normal people, right? You think of this, think of this in terms of Star Wars, right? Normal people, they know Darth Vader, they know Luke, and they know Leia, right? So guess what the new fucking series was about? Darth Vader, Luke, and Leia looking fucking ancient and old and dead, and then some new characters stapled to the side. So that's what Star Trek Picard is about, is taking a bunch of old characters, like they dredge up actors who were on The Next Generation for 2 episodes and make them main characters in Star Trek Picard to like make some sort of sense and cohesion with the old one. But it doesn't feel like that at all. And there's characters from Voyager in Star Trek Picard too, and they don't even feel like the same characters. It's awful.
Weird. That is very, very bizarre. I kind of wanted to talk about the original series if you ever watched much of it.
I think I've seen it all the way through when I was a kid. See, similar to you, like I went to my dad's business every day after school, right? And me and him would sit down, and he would be like closing the shop at the end of the day.
Tell the class what your dad did. Your dad had a cool job as a previous lad.
As a pawn shop owner, yeah. So I was around a bunch of greasy men and greasy stuff and greasy gold, and me and my dad would sit there and watch Voyager every day. That's why Voyager is my favorite. Voyager is a little bit different from the rest of the series because it's like in The Next Generation and the original series and stuff, they talk about Starfleet and they always have Starfleet backing them up and shit. But in Voyager, the premise of Voyager is that a Starfleet vessel gets thrown out into the distant far reaches of the galaxy, like way the fuck far away, and they gotta get home and they got no backup ever.
I like that a lot.
And I think one of the problems with that show is that again, another person, Rick Berman, had too much control and he kind of did a lot of dumb stuff. Like he replaced one character who was working with like another character because she was more sexy and had more sex appeal, which wasn't a good idea. Yeah, so there's problems and shit with it. But
when does Data wear like assless chaps and walk around? Does that ever happen?
I kid you not, there are 2 episodes in season 6 where they go to the fucking Old West. 2 episodes. It's the end of season 5 into season 6. They like get transported back in time and meet Mark Twain. And then there's another episode where they get stuck on the holodeck and fucking Worf is like the sheriff of Tombstone and has to beat up a bunch of Datas.
Yeah, I skipped. I was looking at the title cards and I saw the episode where they were all dressed up like Sherlock Holmes characters, and I said, I'm not watching that one.
That one's fun. That's a good one. That's one of the best ones out of season 2 or season whatever the fuck it was. That one's a good one.
Really?
That's the problem too, is that like it's hard to tell which episodes are good or not from the outset. Yeah. Because it's like when I talk to people who are watching the Clone Wars, they always say that you need to like get a list and watch the Clone Wars out of order. Like you have to watch season 4 episode 2 and then season 2 episode 17 and then season 1. It's just fucking annoying.
Like I watched all the original series. My dad had all of them on DVD, and I know for a fact I watched all of them, but I can't remember A lot of them. Just as I cannot remember how I put 430 hours into Alan Wake 1, but it happened.
That's not true. You left your fucking computer on. Shut
I don't
up.
think I did.
You did not play 400 hours of Alan Wake 1, a 12-hour long game.
Why do I have such fond memories of it then?
Because you just played it over and over and over again until your brain turned to mush. There's stuff that I remember from the original series, like there's like the mimetic culture ones, like the Tribbles. And
that's one I have written down. I have the Trouble with Tribbles. I loved that episode.
And the episode where Kirk fights the big fucking reptile man on the planet,
Gorn.
the Gorn.
Yeah, I have that one too, the arena. And that's not the same episode. The episode that I remember a lot is when, I remember two because my dad showed me them a lot and I like them, is when Spock fights Kirk for the mating ritual for the girl and the music goes... that one, that episode. I like that episode a lot. Do you know what I'm talking about?
You can see why that show did really well in syndications, because kids watch that shit and the adults, and it's just fun, campy stuff.
Yeah, it's not trying really hard.
This shit's popular. Bring it back. Consequently, like half the time, so there was 3 characters from the original series that came back in the Next Generation.
Oh, really?
And one of them you saw, which is in the first fucking episode, which is they brought Scotty back, or not Scotty, they brought the Doctor back. Do you remember that from the first episode of the Next Generation?
Was it the old guy?
Yeah, he was really like, I'm 157 years old.
It was. He said, I'm 150. He said, I'm the oldest man alive. He was like the oldest guy in Starfleet or some shit.
Yeah, and then there's an episode where Spock is back and Picard goes to Romulus and they're dealing with Romulans. And then there's one where they just find fucking Scotty, like, frozen in space, and they bring him back and talk to him, and he's like, lad, I'm old, and I don't know what to do.
That's gonna be me. The other episode I wanted to talk about from the original series that I liked a lot, because, again, my dad played it a shit ton, it was called Enemy Within, and it was something about there was like dust on the transporter module, some cosmic dust, as always the case. There was cosmic dust, and when Kirk got beamed up to the Enterprise, a couple minutes later there was an evil Kirk, and I believe he had an evil goatee, and he went around the Enterprise fucking about, and he was evil.
Those are like the main, like, oh shit, we need an episode. Okay, right? Either a holodeck or a transporter thing goes wrong.
Literally, the holodeck episodes kill me.
Yeah, like, the holodeck is either like we get trapped in the holodeck and something bad's going on, or part of the holodeck becomes fucking sentient, or someone falls in love with a character on the holodeck.
It's just because the holodeck is literally a catch-all, be-all term.
Yeah,
it
can be anything, right? And the other thing is that, like, the transporter. Anything go wrong with a fucking transporter. And Voyager, there's an episode where 2 characters get fucking spliced together. So it's Tuvok and Neelix, and they become Tuvix, who is like a man walking around the fucking Voyager saying shit. And there's an episode of The Next Generation where they're beaming Riker up 10 years ago on a planet, way before The Next Generation, and they made 2 Rikers. So in the canon of Star Trek, there are 2 William Rikers who are like going around doing shit.
Just hanging out. Why did Riker get an evil goatee? What's up with that?
My theory
is it because the girl died? Was he so angry?
No, my theory is that Jonathan, or William, what the fuck is his name? It's, I don't know, the guy who plays him. It's like Jonathan Frakes or something. I think that's his name. He just was getting fat, so they made him grow a beard to cover up his double chin.
Cover up his fatness.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked from the first series, do you remember the episode? I have it written down. I just have dog with horn written down.
I have no idea what that is.
There was an episode where they found like an alien creature and they brought it up, and it was just like a Yorkshire poodle or something, and they just had a horn on its head, and they were like, this is an alien creature.
I will say, like, that's fucking funny. Like, the original series compared to this series is a lot more, like, I think it holds up. It's a lot more, like, thoughtful and methodical and a lot less campy. Like, there are, like, dumb episodes where stupid shit happens. It's very fun and dumb. But there's also, like, I don't know, other episodes where, like, my favorite episode, I think, is, like, they come upon this probe, and I think I talked about this a little bit, but Picard gets hit in the face with this beam from the probe, and he lives 50 years on a planet while he's like sitting on the deck of the fucking bridge for 20 minutes.
That would make you go insane. He would
yeah,
never
okay.
be the same
So he
person.
lives 50 years on this planet, and at the end, they're like, he's like having a life. He has children and like grandchildren, and at the end, all of his dead friends come back, and they're like,
Jesus
yeah, like
Christ.
our son burned out 1,000 years ago and killed us all. And this is the only thing we ever have left is our experience to you. And then Picard comes out of it, and then the probe like shuts off. They can't activate it again, and he just finds like the flute, the 1,000-year-old flute in there that he learned to play over his like hallucination.
And then it goes, "Wah, wah," and the credits roll. He stands up. He says, "Number one, that was a journey." He sits
Number
back down in
one,
the chair.
engage. Number one.
Engage. That's the classic ending.
Number one,
engage.
make it so.
Make it so. The whole number one thing was weird. I didn't know he said that so much. Number one.
It's another thing, too, that people like know the Picard meme where he's sticking his hand out, and people know number one and engage and make it so. So all that shit's in Picard. And people know Data, because Data's the most interesting character in the Next Generation.
Data's so cool.
But I will say it again, because Red Letter Media brought it up, is that Data is best friends with Geordi. Geordi and Data do stuff together because they're science nerds. Picard's best friend...
He's LeVar Burton, right? Is he LeVar Burton? That's so sick. I didn't know
Reading
LeVar
Rainbow
Burton.
Man.
Yeah, I didn't know LeVar Burton was there. I knew LeVar Burton from Reading Rainbow, but he's much cooler in this because he doesn't read.
He also has terrible fucking luck with women in this show. I remember they trick you because every time Geordi falls in love with a lady, something always goes wrong. And there's this one episode where this lady he likes is under suspicion. And I'm like, bro, she fucking did it. She did it because he's in love with her. She's fucking evil. And at the end, she wasn't. But I will say that, like, yeah, people know Picard, people know Data. And Picard's best friend in the show is Beverly Crusher. Like, Picard likes everyone better than Data.
There's
and in
a
Star Trek
Beverly
Picard...
Crusher?
Yeah, and the Star Trek Picard, they're like in love. He fucking loves Data, never fucking stops talking about him.
That's cute. Oh, Beverly Crusher is just a mom's name. I just call her Mom. I just call her Wesley Mom.
Wesley Bob. I will say that, like, if anyone wants to go back and watch The Next Generation, if people are interested in Star Trek, start with The Next Generation, because it's the best. And then watch Deep Space Nine. And then watch Voyager. And then watch the original series. And then watch Enterprise, and don't watch the rest of the shit. Have you ever watched any of the movies, Dan?
I've watched The Wrath of Khan because my dad made me watch it and it was good. I don't think I've watched any others.
The only good Star Trek
movies,
movies,
right? There was like 9 original movies or some shit.
There's like some good movies from the original series that they made. All of the movies they made for the Next Generation suck ass. They are bad, and you should not watch them.
Yeah, there's 9, 10 it looks like. Like from the holy shit! I didn't realize they were pumping him out, eh? Holy shit!
Yeah.
Every 2 years it looks like. Oh my god!
I think they made the Next Generation based on like the show in syndication, and then the movies getting really popular.
Yeah, it like because the Next Generation it looks like has 4 movies.
And they're all bad.
Generations, First Contact,
they're all bad.
Insurrection, and Nemesis.
Nemesis is awful. Nemesis has skinny Tom Hardy in it, and that's the only notable thing about it.
Cool, skinny Tom Hardy.
Yeah, I can sit here all day and talk about the shit I like from the show. But yeah. Anything else? And what are your final thoughts on Star Trek, Dan?
I put in my notes: William Shatner became a nutcase.
In real life,
yeah.
Did he?
Yeah, isn't he a lunatic? Isn't he like 1,000 years old now, and he doesn't
like
know who
90.
Red Letter Media is, and he thinks they like make fun of him or something?
I mean, they kind of do, but
that's so sad. I also remember he was on Ancient Aliens or something. He has his own History Channel TV show.
Yeah.
Did you not know about that?
I did know that. I've seen episodes of it. It's called like William Shatner's What If or something like that.
Just what if? And he says some shit like that.
I hope I'm that spry when I'm 90.
He's 90? You're not
He's over
right.
90.
He's not 90.
I think he's the same age as my grandma. I think he's like 90 something.
He's not 90.
Look it up, bro. Look it up.
He's 89.
That's 90. He's basically 90.
He's 89. Let me see current age picture. That's not William Shatner. Why'd I get that picture?
Anyway.
He looks really good for being 89.
Anyway. Star Trek has a big place in my heart. I really like it. I like some of the bad stuff too. But definitely if you're feeling like you're sick of shows that are very hard to get into or you have to watch from the beginning, whatever, just throw on a random episode of The Next Generation. You might like it.
My final thoughts, I put it in my notes. Me and Cassie have been watching a lot of the X-Files, and I love the X-Files, and it's also a TV show. That's it.
You fuck. Okay. All right. On to the outro. Bubba la bubba la ba.
Ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. My pick, right?
Yeah, it's your pick, Dan, for the
I
next
think I have a
episode
good
of Shack
pick.
Out Back.
I found
You actually have a pick. Holy God! Stop the presses. Dan has a pick. What are you talking about?
I found a pick. I found a femboy picture of Shatner. I'm gonna send you after.
Okay.
My pick. I want to talk about our childhood a little bit. I want to talk about the collectible card games and collectible toys and stuff like that we had as children.
That's an awesome topic. I love that.
I was stocking beans at work, and I was like, I don't want to talk about video games. I want to talk about like Pokemon and Chaotix, because that was one of mine. Shit like
that was one of mine too, bro.
Yeah.
I have all my Chaotix cards still.
So I want to talk about like collectible card games, collectible trading toys, just collectible little things we did as children.
Bait to make us little kids buy their shitty plastic products.
Yeah, and then we're going to release merch, and it's going to be really cool holographic foils of each of us that you can buy, and there's going to be 1,000 different variations.
Yeah, slight misprintings on 1 out of 1,000.
That's all Magic is nowadays. That's my pick, though.
So next time we're talking about collectible card games and or toys that we had as kids. More nostalgia bait for everybody.
Yeah, different type of nostalgia.
Nice nostalgia. Nostalgia that's not coming back because no one's playing fucking Hearthstone.
Yeah.
All right, so that's it for episode 10 of Shack Out Back. Take us out here, Dan. What are you doing?
It's always me because you don't know what to do.
No, because I crack under pressure.
So I'm gonna pitch you a new Star Trek episode I just made in my mind.
Okay, do it. I love it.
Okay, so they're in the ship, right? And he says, "Number 1, what's that on the screen? Enhance." And it enhances, and it's like a big mega church floating in the sky. It's like a big mega church, and it's like floating in space. And he goes, and LeVar Burton goes, "Sir, I can see with my readings there's a massive warmth inside of it." And he says, "Enhance into the windows." And there's a bunch of congregation people wearing spacesuits, and they were like a space church that got separated from another Enterprise fleet that then started their own colony out in space, and they're like space Jehovah's Witnesses.
Star Trek. Looking at Jehovah.
And
Goodbye,
the episode would be called Star Trek Knock at Your Door.
Fuck you, Dan. Goodbye.
Good night, darling.
Goodbye, Jill.
Bye-bye.
Good night, Dan.
Good night, everybody.